And when they were all three gone, Bertha sat down and she started to think, you know, these men brought so many questions into my house. They're looking for a child of light, and all I've ever known until now is my house and my work. Maybe I also want to look.
Und als die drei Männer gegangen sind, hat sie festgestellt, dass die Männer ganz viele Fragen in ihr aufgeworfen haben. So Fragen, die sie sich nie gestellt hat, während sie einfach geschafft hat.
And so suddenly Bertha, she jumped up and she went and she started to take the fresh flour and the sugar and the butter and everything, and she started to make cookies.
Plötzlich Sven.
People often ask me, how do you become a storyteller? And my standard answer is that to become a storyteller, first, you have to be a story listener. What happens with storytelling is that we create the world. You know, advertising companies are all out there telling us stories of what to buy and what will make us good people and what will make us happy, and the media is all out there telling us stories of what is happening in the world. But don't forget, I'm sure you guys are all media savvy, but that's not necessarily the whole story of what's happening out there. So all of this really deepened my commitment to wanting to be a storyteller. The fact that it could be applied to so many parts of my life and be something that could help me affect the changes that I want to see in the world and be the kind of person I want to be in the world. In love with him. And so she went back to the castle and she said, "Dad, you don't have to look for a rich and powerful prince anymore. I've found the person that I want to marry." And the king was a little bit happy, so he said, "Well, tell me, who did you meet? Who is this person?" And the youngest princess said, "Well, it's the forest man." And the king said, "The woodsman? You want to marry the woodsman? I don't think so. You're the princess. If you marry the woodsman, you will no longer be my daughter." At any rate, during this storytelling workshop, we will be using folk and fairy tales from around the world to explore the connections that we have between us. A story doesn't really exist without a listener and without a teller. Somewhere in between the two, a story can arise. And every single moment of our life, there's a story arising. And some translated in chemistry, some in mathematics, some in poetry, some in painting, like this. So we're going to be exploring this using traditional folk and fairy tales from around the world. And I'm really, really grateful to be able to be here and to do this work with all of us, just to see what happens if we can maybe open the eyes of our heart and just really listen to the story that's arising every moment. Thank you. Now, I have a question for you. What does a river do?
When the metal goes in it, it rusts.
When metal goes in it, it rusts. What else does a river do?
It streams downwards.
It streams downward. It's always moving and moving. What else does a river do?
Makes some sounds.
Makes sense.
It makes them fall off of each other. River make like paper like get all soggy and wet.
Totally. Totally. Rivers make paper get all soggy and wet. Rivers help things change and move, and it's always flowing. You know what they say? They say that you can't dip into the same river twice. And the very next day, that same hunter was walking in the same forest when way off in the distance he heard a sound. And it sounded like this, real quiet. Na, 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 na. So he was curious. What was it? So he walked on down the path. He walked on down the path, and pretty soon he came to that very same clearing, and in the center of the clearing was that very same tree, and way up in the bowl of branches, this time there wasn't just one golden bird, but 100 golden birds. And they all opened their beaks at the same time, and at the same time they all took in a deep breath, and at the same time they all let out with a big old loud na 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 na. So this time the hunter, instead of raising his bow and arrow, this time the hunter raised up both of his hands, and he bowed down, and he said, I know now what you are. You're the freedom bird, and you can never be destroyed. The girl said, why don't you go and ask the farmer? So the boy said, thank you very much, and he ran, and we can all run together. He ran all the way across the village, and he ran all the way across the fields, and he ran all the way across the farm until he got to the barn, and there was the farmer counting the harvest. What the wind did as the boy was walking, the wind picked up one of those autumn leaves, one of those really big and beautiful colorful leaves, and blew it across the boy's path so that the boy would know that the wind was his friend. She sat down and she thought about it this way, and she thought about it that way, and then she thought, you know, I think that there's just enough here. I think that there's just enough here for a story. And that is the story that that girl told.
Sharanam, Sharanam,